22 Investigates Town Hall. Intelligence and the rapidly evolving AI effect.
And right now for you here at 5:30, we are dedicating this half hour to a discussion about artificial intelligence. From school classrooms to hospital rooms, AI is having an impact.
Many of those impacts being viewed as revolutionary with positive effects. But the fast-moving technology is also creating some concerns. In just minutes, First in the Morning anchor Bob Montgomery will be sitting down with a team of local experts to ask tough questions. But first, in this WSBT-22 Investigates, Leanne Tokars takes a deep dive into the impact AI is already having on your life.
Artificial intelligence has been around for a long time. Got one of these? Your cell phone uses AI, from facial recognition to Siri to Google Maps. But recent advancements have some experts saying this could be as monumental as the internet itself, and it's starting to be used in our community.
From the Hollywood writers' strike to Capitol Hill, artificial intelligence has made headlines. And on the streets of South Bend, it's sparking some skepticism.
You hear about it all the time in school, but, you know, it feels like it's taken over everything.
It's definitely going to go wrong. I mean, they did a whole series on it, Terminator. I just think it's terrible.
And prevent the future.
So what exactly is artificial intelligence, or AI as it's called?
Artificial intelligence is the general idea that computers are doing things that before only humans could do.
Notre Dame professor Dr. John Behrens leads the new AI project at Notre Dame. It's an effort to help students and others understand and use AI.
In the first wave, it was mostly about prediction, like predicting where you should drive and predicting how fast it would take you to get there on Google Maps. Now, the new AI is about generating things, generating new kinds of images, generating new kinds of text, things that were very clearly only humans could do just a year or two ago.
ChatGPT changed the game when it launched a year ago, showing the world just how powerful AI had become. In just seconds, the tool, when prompted, can sift through enormous amounts of data to create human-like images, voice, and text.
That change was unexpected. It's much faster than they expected, and some of the computer scientists are saying, well, we planned on seeing that in 10 years, but we're seeing it now. So what's going to happen in 10 years and 20 years? The question is, can they reach a point of autonomous reasoning?
Many believe this generative AI could change how we learn, work, and interact, and businesses are starting to take note. Everwise Credit Union uses AI to improve efficiency in its marketing and customer experience. This is a chatbot you'll see on Everwise's website.
We feed it questions and answers, but then as members interact with it and ask it things, it learns how to create better responses.
In the healthcare industry, hospitals are using AI algorithms, and it may be more widespread than you think.
With ChatGPT, that's kind of opened up a whole new world of opportunities.
Dr. Scott Ischowski with Beacon Health System says AI is being used right now to assist doctors in administrative tasks. AI is also helping in early detection and treating patients faster, trained to spot abnormalities in mammograms and strokes.
We still want to use artificial intelligence in a way that assists us as opposed to directs us. So it's really being used to augment the care that we deliver as opposed to directing the care.
But at Beacon Health, this growing technology comes with caution.
The key is we want to make sure that the data that gets presented to us is accurate. There's going to need to be a lot of research done before we really start to trust the artificial intelligence to help us do certain aspects of our job.
As AI evolves with the potential to transform healthcare.
That's where the topic of regulating AI comes in. How do we use this technology and make sure it's accurate and at the same time protect you and your information? It's something governments and businesses around the world are grappling with right now. In the control booth, Leanne Tokars, WSBT-22 News.
All right, Leanne, thank you very much. And there's a lot to unpack with that report with artificial intelligence. We're live right now on the air, online as well as on YouTube and Facebook. I'm joined tonight by John Behrens from the University of Notre Dame, along with Young-Suk Lee, both professors at the University of Notre Dame, and Michael Schistley. Michael on the far right, to your far right, Mr. Lee in the middle, Mr. Behrens here on the end. He is expert in the computer science as well as psychology as well at IU South Bend. So Notre Dame and IU South Bend represented tonight. We appreciate you all for joining us right now. As we get started here, I think one of the big questions that I have, and maybe a lot of people do, is how pervasive is AI right now? We hear so much about ChatGPT, but how pervasive is it, Dr. Behrens, about the whole issue of being in every segment of people's lives? Is it as pervasive as some people fear, or are we not there yet?
Well, there's been a type of AI that's been evolving over the last 10 years, and that's very pervasive. Siri, as Leanne said, Google Maps, all of our applications, even spell check and grammar check are a form of AI. We've had that. We don't even notice it anymore. But what's new is the new generative AI. ChatGPT is that new form. It's very different from the kind we've had in the past, and that's why there's a lot of kind of angst and wondering about what's happening next.
Professor Lee, the whole question of where we are with artificial intelligence harkens some people back, in fact, I think you mentioned this in the report, like to the early days of the internet. People thought, okay, this is a new thing. How pervasive is this going to be in our everyday lives? Where are we now in the advancement of artificial intelligence, or is it just impossible to say?
Well, I think, as John just mentioned, it's different if we think about predictive AI that we're pretty much embedded in everywhere. But the new type of AI, so-called large language models like ChatGPT, those are in a pretty early stage. But the potential is enormous, and we've seen such rapid growth in its capabilities. That's why nowadays people are talking about the threat or risk associated with this new type of generative AI.
You think back to the early days of, Mr. Schuessle, the early days of the internet, and you think about how, looking back at it, we thought at the time how, wow, this is unbelievable. I can't believe all the things you can do. And now we look at it from our lens of 2023 and like, oh my gosh, that was so rudimentary, the dial-up internet, et cetera. Are we there right now with AI? Is that where we are? We're in those dial-up days of artificial intelligence when it comes to comparison with now and the internet?
I think it won't be long till this will be secondhand. In fact, as John had mentioned, it's been around. The deep learning has been embedded just in everything, like prediction, explanation, things like that, decision making. So it's been around for a while. It's pervasive in that regard. So I think it'll be embedded within a couple of years. I mean, I think it's pervasive right now, but I think it'll be secondhand in a couple of years.
You're a professor, obviously, in the classroom. There was the original thought, oh boy, ChatGPT is going to let these kids write their papers. I'm going to see it. Have you seen anything like that?
Yes, there's been uses. Sometimes it's encouraged. Actually, sometimes I ask students to explore with it, see the potential. It not only writes paper, it writes codes. As an advisor, I mean, a professor can even use it to come up with case studies, summarize documents that it would help me to assist in teaching. So it goes both ways. So
there is an appropriate use for that. In Leanne's piece, there was the discussion in the medical field, and Dr. Oshowski was talking about from Beacon Health how the doctors are using that at the hospital at this point in time to maybe make some diagnoses a little bit faster, but they're not relying on it solely. They're using it more as a complement rather than an actual tool itself. But that leads you to believe, okay, will doctors one day be replaced? That's the $54,000 or $64,000 question with inflation these days. So we'll dive into that next. Will AI take our jobs? That's coming up next. About the AI effect, and we have a panel of experts here talking about artificial intelligence. And coming into the break, we talked about what the future would look like. Are we talking about the possibility of people losing jobs? The Hollywood strike was about that, both the writers and the actors, and some of the artificial intelligence capabilities in those fields. So that leads to the question. When we first heard about ChatGPT, oh my gosh, it's going to take our jobs. Whose jobs are most at risk? Professor Behrens, whose job is most at risk when it comes to the issue of artificial intelligence, or are jobs at risk?
Yeah, so what will happen, Bob, is over time, we'll see an increased growth of the capabilities of these systems. So you can kind of think of it like spell check was originally AI, and now we don't even think of it as AI. And then grammar check, and how could it even do that? And editors, it can take editors' jobs away for grammar check. Well, now it's creating and generating text. And so what we see is people that have highly strategic jobs, they have to figure out, well, this is the kind of communication we want. This is the kind of audience we need. Those jobs are not going to be replaced by machines right now. But if you just have to generate a paragraph that's a press release, those kind of jobs where it's the actual kind of manual entry-level work, those are the jobs that are going to be at risk at first in the beginning. And we'll just have to see how things unfold over time. But hopefully, people in those roles can be retrained to do other kinds of roles and be freed up to do more creative things.
Professor Lee, is the sky the limit when it comes to artificial intelligence, at least potentially threatening jobs?
So in terms of its capabilities, frankly, we don't know yet, but what we're hearing from Silicon Valley, it seems like it will ultimately achieve the intelligence level of general human being, not just in specific tasks, but overall.
At this point, though, Professor Schisely, how concerned are you about the issue of accuracy? You know, we have the data being put in there, but we've also heard some stories through ChatGPT and others that I put in the data, and what came out was not exactly accurate. It matched the data that I put in, or is it a kind of a Google? What you put in there is what you get out?
Well, I think it's a little bit of both. The accuracy thing seems to affect the generative AI more. The AI that we've been doing for several decades now, the stuff which helps us with planning and decision making and things like that, we do have safeguards for things like accuracy and safety on that kind of stuff. So that's pretty good to go. We've been using stuff like that for several decades and so forth. The deep learning stuff, that's embedded in loan systems, different kind of systems like that. But I think it's the generative stuff where you have to worry about the accuracy.
What about the issue of artificial intelligence? And he mentioned safety. A lot of safety is online privacy, your personal data. Does artificial intelligence threaten our personal data at this point?
Yeah, so I think every online system threatens our personal data right now. And AI doesn't need any help there. So I think there's the fundamental structure about how data is collected, what kind of companies are collecting it, what kind of trust, what awareness you have about what those companies are doing. Those are going to remain, whether it's AI-related companies or it's social media companies or it's your credit card company. Those issues are always going to be there. But I want to go back to this idea of jobs and the relationship between what these new systems can do and jobs. And one of the things I like to say is we're in the era of first draft automation. We're not in the era of it's going to, you know, come in and do everything you want for the day. But if you, sometimes I know professors like us, what we'll do is we'll write a letter and we'll ask ChatGPT, is that too informal or is that formal enough? So we're not looking for it to do everything, but we're looking to get kind of a cross-check. And I think that's the way we're going to see a lot of this kind of commingling of our work and the things that these systems are good at.
So artificial intelligence can handle the data, but it can't handle necessarily your style, or could it? And it can't handle also language and emotion if you're trying to impart that into that, or can it?
Well, I believe that it can potentially. We have these large language models. We can train styles so that it actually represents a certain person. And now we're sort of imbuing robotics with AI. So humanoids, robots. is a potential possibility.
Okay, all right. So one of the big issues we're going to be facing over the course of the next year, so starting next month, in fact, when the first votes are cast, is the issue of our national election. We're going to elect a new president next year, and there's already some concern about artificial intelligence impacting political advertising, making people look as though they're doing something or saying something that in reality never happened. We'll talk about that coming up next. Well, since the 2016 presidential election, there's a lot of talk about the whole issue of fake news. Are foreign actors like the Russian government, the Chinese government, and others getting involved and trying to meddle in our elections? We've seen some proof that, in fact, that has happened. But now comes the issue of artificial intelligence, because as much as we dealt with some of these fake stories that were put intentionally to seed doubt or mistrust or something of a candidate or an issue, artificial intelligence makes that look like child's play. So the question is, are there rules in place going into a presidential election year, and the first votes are coming up in 6 weeks in the Iowa caucuses, that can maybe influence us to the negative even more? I'm going to ask you that, Professor Schisely. The issue of artificial intelligence and elections, are there rules at this point about how much can it be used? Can it be used at all? I know Michigan just signed a law banning deepfakes and artificial intelligence, but that's not the case nationwide, is it?
That's correct. Only 7 states out of 50 actually have laws about that on the books or in process right now. And the federal government hasn't really done anything with that yet, usually lags behind states. So I think it's going to be entertaining in the upcoming election, this upcoming election cycle.
Yeah, it depends on how you define entertaining. There's the entertaining, and then there's the troubling. And I wanted to ask you, Professor Lee, when it comes to the issue of artificial intelligence, can the average person who's paying attention but not overly paying attention tell the difference if they see something that's on television or see something on their social media feed that is, to the average person, an obvious fake, but they can't tell? Is there a way to look at something, a video, for example, and say, yeah, that's definitely artificial intelligence?
I don't think so. It's all digital, 0 and 1s, and it's going to be increasingly difficult to differentiate what's fake and not. And I think it creates this concern that most of the, maybe people will have this perception that a lot of the content out there ex ante is fake or actually doubt truthful information as well. And that could create a new concern.
Yeah, does this mean, are you concerned about that with the issue of such a monumental presidential election coming up, and we have this technology out there that really is open to anybody, and we've already seen bad actors try to meddle in the elections. Are you concerned about that in the future?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we have a long history of people trying to do all kinds of crazy things in these elections, all the way back to the founding fathers. But as you point out, the technologies are different right now. And not only the quality of the fakeness, but the ability to generate lots of versions of fakeness, and even to customize the fakeness. So I send one letter to you, I send another letter to Yang, and maybe based on some data I have about you, I customize those letters in ways that are not appropriate, or images.
Yeah, it sounds as though, at least in this area, there's more of a threat than an opportunity. I'm sure there are some legitimate reasons to use artificial intelligence for your political campaigns, but boy, as far as what you see on the internet, it sounds like it could be really quite the mess. All right, so coming up, of course, artificial intelligence is becoming more pervasive in our lives every single day. We're going to take kind of an overview and what their feelings are. Is it more of a threat? Is it more of an opportunity? What are our opportunities for growth with this? Just kind of some final thoughts on where they stand today and what we think will happen in the future coming up next.
And St. Joseph County Commissioner speaking on the importance of honor and remembering our honor. Gabby's mic check, 1 2 1 2. Gabby's mic.
All right, thanks again for joining us right now. We are going to wrap up just some general thoughts, and we'll start with you, Professor Behrens, on what you think the future is. What are your concerns, or what are you hopeful for with artificial intelligence? What do we need to know most?
Yeah, so I'm very excited about the future. I think there's going to be a lot of positivity, like the internet. The internet has brought information, it's brought connection, but it's also changed economies, and it's changed how people live and work and play. Going forward, we're going to have to be very careful because this new AI world is a world where the systems are behaving like humans and we don't understand that completely.
Yeah, it is a process for sure. Professor Lee.
Yes, I think this is a new technology. It's very exciting. At some point, I think we'll reach intelligence level beyond human as on par, and it's about how we manage it and how we think about the opportunities as well as the risks.
All right, and Professor Shisley.
I agree. I'm like really excited right now about this stuff. The thing is, what we need badly is new laws for this, because we're lagging the European Union. They're really on the ball. And I think when we get to the artificial general intelligence, we're really going to need that, because there's going to be some unpredictability there, and we need to deal with that. In the meantime, we need to deal with disinformation. I think that's a big problem coming up.
Okay. Yeah, that is certainly going to be an issue, especially going into the political season, but just in general. Gentlemen, thank you very much for being with us. I appreciate your taking your time today and sharing your expertise. Artificial intelligence, it really is a whole new world. All right, thanks for joining us on the special town hall. WSBT 22 News at 6 is coming up next with today's local